Good morning, everybody. So today we're going to be looking at the faith of a Gentile woman. We can find this in Mark's Gospel, Mark 7, verses 24 to 30. You can also find it in Matthew's Gospel, chapter 15. We're going to mainly be looking at it in Mark, but I might be jumping into Matthew as well at some point, just to let you know if you've got your Bibles with you. So what do we know about this woman? Well, we know she's a Gentile woman. We know she was born in Syrian Phoenicia. We know she's not a Jew, but nevertheless, she sought Jesus for her daughter's healing. Sometimes I feel this passage can be misunderstood. Sometimes I feel people can misunderstand this passage. I've heard people say it was one of those rare occasions where Jesus got it wrong. But I guess if I'm honest, in my early 20s, I struggled with this passage. I remember struggling with it. And what I normally do is when I'm doing a children's talk or if I'm delivering a message or a passage, I tend to look at it in different versions of the Bible, and today I'm reading from the NLT. But earlier on in the week, I dug out one of my old Bibles, which I used to use quite a lot in my early 20s, and it was the Youth Bible. And I just thought, I'll have a look and see what it says in there. And I turned to Mark, and it was quite interesting actually. When I turned to Mark, in the passage, Mark 7, I'd circled the whole passage, I'd put a star next to it, highlighted it, and in the margin I'd written "do not understand?" ? But I do remember struggling with the passage when I was younger, but I don't remember writing that, of course. And then I turned to Matthew, and again, I hadn't written in it as much, but I had starred it and put "do not understand," and a few verses were highlighted. And so I just found that interesting looking back on one of my old Bibles. But this story, it isn't really about the little girl. Yes, the little girl did get healed, but it's not really about the little girl. It's about the Gentiles woman's faith, how much faith she had. Jesus is drawing faith out of this lady. He was increasing her faith. And when we look at the passages, and we will go through them in a minute, but if you look at them, Jesus is not quick to answer her. He allows her to ask over and over again. He seems very harsh. He seems uncaring. He seems insensitive, almost out of character, if you like. He's putting obstacles in the way, not because he didn't love her, not because he didn't care for her, not because he wasn't concerned for her, but Jesus knew what this woman was capable of. He knew what she was capable of in terms of her faith. He was increasing her faith. And I just want to look at her approach, really. The way she approaches Jesus and the way she overcomes the obstacles. She comes with an eagerness, with a readiness. She's desperate. She comes desperate. And if we read in Mark 7, verse 24, I need my glasses for this, sorry. 24, verse 24. Then Jesus left Galilee and went north to the region of Tyre. He tried to keep it a secret that he was there, but he couldn't. As usual, the news of his arrival spread fast. So it tells us there, when he went, he wanted it to be a secret. He didn't want anybody to know he were there. But this certain Gentile woman, she went to a lot of trouble to find out where he was. Her eagerness finds him. She uncovers his hiding place, and she goes to the trouble of finding where he is. And if we read in verse 25, the next verse, right away a woman came to him whose little girl was possessed by an evil spirit. She had heard about Jesus, and now she came and fell at his feet. She begged him to release her child from the demon's control. So there it's telling us how she had heard of him. She had heard of his reputation, but she came to him and she fell at his feet. She praised him. She came with respect. She was persistent. She was begging, and she was asking over and over again. And this is a woman who is committed to the rescue of her daughter. She's not taking no for an answer. This is her last hope. She's asking and asking over and over again. And I just want to turn to Matthew 15, verse 22. So if we just flip over to Matthew. And verse 22 says, "A Gentile woman who lived there came to him, pleading, 'Have mercy on me, O Lord, Son of David, for my daughter has a demon in her, and it is severely tormenting her.' Have mercy on me, O Lord, Son of David." I love that. And the reason why I love that is because Son of David was a Jewish term. She used this Jewish term, but yet she believed it. I like to think of this Jewish term as a borrowed term, if you like. Son of David. Son of David means Messiah or Christ. You know, she used it and she believed it, and she's pushing the Lord in every area. Have mercy on me, Lord, O Son of David. And if we look at back in Mark 7, verse 27, so we've looked at verse 24, where it tells us that he went in secret. He didn't want anybody to know he were there, but this Gentile lady found him anyway and uncovered his hiding place. And then in verse 25, it tells us how she knew of him. She knew all about him. She'd heard of him. She'd probably heard by reputation about him. And then verse 26, how she fell at his feet and praised him and worshipped him and come out of respect, and she was persistent. And then verse 27, it says, the next verse, I can't find it. Since she was a Gentile born in Syrian Phoenicia, Jesus told her, "First, I should help my own family, the Jews. It isn't right to take food from the children and throw it to the dogs." Now, when you read that, that seems a bit harsh, doesn't it? And I think this is what I used to struggle with, if I'm honest, in my early 20s. And if we just look into Matthew at the same verse, it says, "Then he said to the woman, 'I was sent only to help the people of Israel, God's lost sheep, not the Gentiles.'" So, yeah, that might come across a bit hard, and this is where I think this passage might get misunderstood. But Jesus' vocation was to proclaim the kingdom first to the Jews and then to the Gentiles. Because of the Jews' background, because of their understanding, the scriptures, the Old Testament, their culture. Jesus was to proclaim the gospel first to the Jews and then to the Gentiles. And the Jews, it was them who had the means to take the gospel to other nations. It was up to them to take it to the other nations. And I actually love this lady's reply. So when Jesus says to her, "First, I should help my own family, the Jews. It isn't right to take food from the children and throw it to the dogs," her reply is, "That's true, Lord, but even the dogs under the table are given some crumbs from the children's plates." I actually find that answer astonishing. I love it. That's true, Lord, but even the little dogs under the table are given some crumbs from the children's plate. I love that. And the reason why I love that, because back in the day, back at this time, in Jesus' day, dogs and cats weren't pets like we know today. We have animals as pets today. We have cats and dogs and other types of animals, and we treat them like family. We love them, don't we? They sit in front of our fireplace. They sit on our knee and we cuddle them, and they're part of the family. They're not just a pet. They are part of the family. And we spend hundreds and thousands of pounds a year in this country on pet food because we love our animals that much. But back in the day, dogs and cats wouldn't have been pets like we know today. They would have been like scavengers. They would have been almost wild, just roaming the streets. They wouldn't have been in the houses. Even when I went to India, which wasn't that long ago, I think it was 2016 and then again in 2018, yes, we did see cats and dogs, but they weren't pets like they are in England. they didn't come into the houses, and we went to a lot of houses in India. We were invited to many, many houses, but the pets were all out on the street. They were almost wild, like little scavengers. And the same when I went to Romania in the early 1993, I think it was, in the early 90s. I went a few times with my dad, and again, we saw cats and dogs, but they weren't in the homes. They were either living in the backyard or they were roaming the streets like scavengers. So if you can bear in mind when she says, that's true, Lord, but even the little dogs are catching the crumbs under the table, just bear in mind it's not a cuddly cute pet sat in front of a fireplace. It was probably a scavenger out on the street. It probably was like almost wild, if you like. And another example I can think of, actually, Leah. Leah loves cats and has wanted a cat for ages now. She's not getting one, but she wants a cat. And we have a cat called Rosie who lives about 3 doors away from us. And bless her, everybody in the street knows her and loves her. And basically, she just goes in and out of people's houses, and sometimes we'll be getting ready for work or we'll be getting ready for school, and I'm thinking the girls are downstairs having the breakfast and I'm running around upstairs getting ready, and I'll come down and I'll be like, right, come on, coats on, are we ready, are we going, and there's Leah sat with Rosie on her knee, and she's kissing and cuddling her and saying coochie coochie coo and giving her all the cuddles like it's our pet, like it's our cat. And this cat just sits on Leah's knee like she lives here. And Leah's forever letting her in if we're having a lie-in on the Saturday and the girls get up before us and we tell them to watch telly. Leah opens the door and just lets her in, like that's what you do. But it turns out I've been speaking to a few of the neighbours, and quite a few of the neighbours lets Rosie in. I think she goes in quite a few houses, so it's not just ours. But yeah, it reminded me of Rosie when I was looking at this. I was like, yeah, a bit like Leah, letting Rosie in. So this is why, if you like, I find a reply astonishing. I love a reply because she recognises that she has no claims on Jesus. She recognises she is an unworthy servant. She knows she's not a Jew. She's a Gentile. She knows this. She has no right on Jesus, but nevertheless, she is trusting in his great love and in his mercy. She's trusting and she's not giving up. Most people would have given up by now, but this lady, she isn't giving up. She's got that faith to believe that Jesus is going to heal her daughter, and she's persistent, but she's respectful as well, and she believes what she's saying. And she's basically saying, Lord, just one crumb and I'll be satisfied. I love it. She's basically saying, but my daughter and I are like little dogs. My daughter and I are like little dogs. May we not come alongside the children's table and just catch a few crumbs. That's all we need, just a few crumbs. And because of her faith, Jesus permits her to eat. Because of her faith, Jesus just blesses her. And I love it. And it also reminds me of the Roman officer in Luke 7 verse 9. Well, all of Luke 7 actually. We won't read it today because we won't have time. But the Roman officer, if you remember, one of his servants, one of his slaves is ill. And he wants Jesus to heal his servant. And he knows he's not a Jew either. He's not a Gentile, he's a Roman officer. And he sends out a couple of Jewish leaders to Jesus. And he says, please go and ask Jesus to come and heal my servant, to come and heal my slave. And he doesn't go to Jesus himself. He sends the Jewish leaders out. And then Jesus comes. And just before Jesus comes to his house, he sends more people out. And he says, Lord, I am not worthy to come to you. I know I'm not worthy to come to you. Just say the words where you are. I know you have authority. Just say the words where you are. I am a Roman officer, and the soldiers underneath me, all I need to say is go, and they go. All I need to say is come, and they come. I just say, do this, do that, and my soldiers do it. So I know that you can heal my servant from where you are. I know I'm not worthy to come to you. Please just come and heal my servant. And Jesus' reply in Luke 7 verse 9, he says, I have not found such faith in all of Israel. I have not found such faith in all of Israel. All the Jews in Israel, some of them had unbelief. He marvelled at their unbelief of the people in Israel. Even his own people, some of them had unbelief. But this Roman officer who wasn't a Jew, he believed. And just like this Gentile woman who was, she believed. She used a Jewish term, "Oh Lord, Son of David, please come and heal my daughter." And that's why I love her reply. Just one crumb, that's all I want. Just one crumb, that's enough, and I'll be satisfied. This woman, she didn't have the advantages or the privileges which the Jewish people had. She didn't have the history. She didn't have the teachings of the Old Testament or the scriptures. She had none of that. But yet, her hope and faith broke through all those barriers. She just did not give up. She didn't give up. She came respectfully. She came believing. She came with faith. And Jesus answered her, "O woman, great is your faith. Let it be as you desire." And when she went home, her daughter was healed. "O woman, great is your faith." And when she went home, her daughter was healed. How lovely. So sometimes we may feel that God isn't listening to us. Sometimes we may feel that God is ignoring us. Sometimes I've been in situations where I feel, you know what, Lord, I feel like you're driving me away. I feel like you're not there. I feel like you're not listening. But maybe he is deliberately testing us. Maybe he's testing our faith this morning and is increasing our faith in the process. He wants us to draw near to him. Let's draw near to him and let's just trust in Jesus and just bring everything to him. Thank you for listening. Amen.